How's it going, guys? This is Derek Smith doing the November 4th, 2019 podcast for Monday. Going to be talking about arm wrestling, guys. First, I want to give my weekly shout out to NatFit, Country Crush, and to Lion Straps, my buddy's strap company. Real quick, I actually want to touch on those a little bit. Country Crush, and the way I'm affiliated with Country Crush is through a good buddy of mine, Ray Cote, who owns Country Crush. Ray's been, since I've known him, he lived in California, and he's just been around forever, and he's been making quality handles, since I've known the guy. And so, I definitely recommend utilizing his handles. If you guys get a chance ever to mess with the Country Crush handle, then they're really high quality. Those things, don't wear out. And the guy's always been really good to me and stuff like that. He doesn't pay me or anything like that. He's just a good buddy of mine, and I like to help him promote his company. So if you guys ever get a chance to mess with the Country Crush handle, there's definitely a ton of top arm wrestlers that use them religiously, including myself. I use them all the time, and you guys check those out. Then as far as NatFit goes, NatFit is a supplement company that was started by Jamie Sheldon, who's one of the top lightweight arm wrestlers for the WAL. Jamie's also the guy that showed me the ropes of arm wrestling when I first got into it. When I first got into the sport, the first person I met and shook their hands and got their phone number to start training was Jamie Sheldon. And then he took me to his first practice at his house, and he showed me how to arm wrestle. So Jamie's one of my really close friends, and he started his supplement company, and he helps me out with supplements, and helps send me to tournaments and stuff like that. He's definitely sponsors me for supplements for sure, and I represent NatFit fully. They have amazing products, you guys. They have they got your pre-workout, your BCAAs, your proteins, your greens, your thermogenics. They got, you got everything. The creatine, everything you need, and it's by an arm wrestler. So any way that I can help out one of our brothers in the sport, of course I'm going to do that. Not to mention he's a good friend of mine. So if you guys get a chance, definitely check out NatFit and get some of their products. And then the last one, is the strap company for my buddy Leo. I talk about it all the time, every podcast. He's a teammate of mine. He's the guy that started the arm wrestling team Alpha Empire with me. He was the first guy to start it up with me. And he's always been making straps for us, but we've always been telling him he should go full-time with making those straps and really start cranking them out because they're really high quality. And so he decided to make the plunge and start doing it. And so we're all super happy for him over here. And me and Jamie and everybody we're trying to help promote it and get those straps out there because they're really, really nice straps, guys. So that's why you guys hear me talking about those three things all the time. So moving forward, this last week, man, the WAF went down this week, which is a week-long tournament. I want to give a shout out to one of my teammates, Shalyn Peterson. She won. She entered Masters right and left, I believe, and she won. I believe she won right-handed. Anyway, she got first place in Masters. Won a gold medal. Super proud of her. It's her first time ever going to Worlds. She went out there and she got first place, and super proud of her. Great job, Shalyn, if you're listening. Way to bring it home. Then the tournament went for a week, and there was a lot of stuff going on because I think the way they usually run WAF, it's a week-long tournament, right? So the beginning of the week is juniors, I believe, and then it's juniors right-handed one day, left-handed the next day. Then it's masters and right-handed and left-handed. Then it's seniors right-handed and left-handed. So it goes an entire week. And somewhere in there's the disabled arm wrestling too. I don't know which days that is. I forget the exact schedule of it. But yeah, it's arm wrestling all week. The tournament takes forever. They usually run anywhere 8 to 10 tables, and it's wild. It's just nonstop arm wrestling. So hopefully you guys got to catch some of the the matches on their YouTube channel and stuff like that, or caught some of the live streams, because that's the highest level arm wrestling there is. I mean, you might see some more power and type of stuff over at Zloty and stuff like that with some more horsepower, but as far as the skill level and stuff that's going on at WF, it's top notch, the highest level of arm wrestling you can watch. And it's great. It's so interesting watching those guys slamming for position, and the micro adjustments they make, and how they're watching their breathing, and how they're playing the game, and how they how they want to counter each other and stuff like that. Those are always so awesome to watch. I love watching those close matches at that level for sure. Also, big shout out to Cody Merritt. He got first place left-handed in Masters for super heavyweights, and he got first place left-handed in seniors. Seniors is ages 18 through 40. But really anybody can pull seniors. But I mean that the ages is generally 18 through like 40, right? And that's generally the most competitive class, because that's where the bulk of arm wrestlers are in right now. But yeah, Cody got first place for the United States, and he's the first person on the United States to get first place in a senior category since I think 2010. Some people were saying 2010. It's been a while since like Dave Chafee won it, I think. So I mean, I've gotten ninth. It's hard, man. That is a rough tournament, and he got first place left-handed, beating the super heavyweight from Turkey, who's a monster as well. So, dude, congratulations, Cody. Cody's a good friend of mine. Dude is always so strong left-handed. So I knew you could do it, man. So I'm super happy for you. Super proud of you, man. All right, so WF went down this week. That was definitely something I wanted to touch on. Moving on to the Reddit podcast. Let's start going over the Reddit stuff, guys. So, since the last time I posted, the next video was posted by Ryan Bowen, 84 kg, 1 rep max. Looks like it's his side pressure, one of his side pressure tests, maxes that Ryan posts. Good job, Ryan. Congratulations, man. Like, it looks like you're getting stronger. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just, there's not a lot to talk about really with these videos as far as like me breaking it down. You know, it's Ryan testing his side pressure and posting his progress, like weekly. So, good job, Ryan. Moving forward, posted by Redditaris, why isn't the sport bigger, and what do you think it will take to get there? I remember reading comments on his stream before a big match, and they included, "This feels like Christmas morning, I can't wait. I've followed UFC my whole life, and I've never been as excited as I am for this match. Everyone here gets it, but why are we just the strange few? I lean towards no, because I've personally introduced others to the sport who've become really into it. What are your thoughts? Is it simply a lack of exposure? That certainly plays a role. We've all had to explain to people that competitive arm wrestling exists. Does the responsibility fall on us to spread the word, or do we need relatively big budget organizations like WAL to spend money on marketing? Michael Todd says he feels like we're right on the edge of becoming much more mainstream. Do you agree? Is YouTube the key?" I just want to get a discussion going on how to move the sport forward. All right, so these are great questions, man. These are topics I love talking about. I think about, the sport and how we're going to get it bigger and on a regular basis, because it's super important to me, obviously, since I've invested myself so far and so heavily into the sport. Now, kind of breaking down what you got into there, why isn't it bigger? Okay, well, our sport, first off, is super niche. It's never been super mainstream. I think a lot of people saw it originally as like a bar room sport, and that's how we started. Super small sport where it's, as far as a spectator goes, it's really hard to get into arm wrestling. I mean, there's a little bit of excitement, but it just looks very basic from the outside. It looks like someone just smashing someone's arm down to the left, and there's nothing else that goes into it. There's no counters or moves or secrets or anything like that. It's just like a bunch of roided out, strong dudes smashing each other's arms down to the left and to the right. And so, from a spectator's perspective, to break that is, I think, a key. I think that the more that we enlighten people on what's going on in the match, the better. So these like videos that WAL puts out explaining, matches and stuff like that, and what a top roll is and what a hook is, those are great, because the more the public understands about arm wrestling, I feel like the more they can get into it. When I show people arm wrestling, when they come to their first practice, and I'm teaching a new guy about it, or I'm showing somebody the sport, I know one of the biggest thing that opens people's eyes is once they start realizing how deep it is. Once they start realizing how there's counters to each move, and there's, you can utilize your hand size or your arm length, or you can top roll or hook or press, and there's ways to stop all those, and how deep the sport goes on the table. I know that really gets a lot of people hooked. That's usually the number one thing. They're like, man, I had no idea there's so much that goes into this sport. That's always something they say. So I think trying to get people to see how much goes into the sport is a big deal, and I think that's something that we need to focus on. Those kind of sports science type of shows, where they break it down, like each movement, and they show you the skeletal structure and the muscles being used to make a movement and stuff like that. I think if we could get something like that built for arm wrestling, where people really understand what's going on in the match, what muscles are being used, and how, so you say you do like a match really in slow-mo, but the people knew exactly what was going on. Okay, this guy starts slowly pulling backwards, but you see how his index finger is climbing up higher, and he's starting to pronate with his wrist, so they slowly break it down, so the people watching kind of have a real grasp of what's going on and why he won and why that guy beat the other guy, rather than just, someone mashing someone's hand to the side. I think that'd be a big deal. I think that letting people understand, see arm wrestling the way I see it is, or the way that people that the arm wrestle see it often, it would be a big thing that would help out. Then as far as lack of exposure, I think this is a big time for us. Social media is blowing up. One thing that, I definitely give a lot of credit to Ryan Bowen for doing is that really pushing this social media game. Arm wrestling is blowing up on YouTube. Devin's blowing up, but the fact that Juji Mufu's doing it, the fact that Larry Wheels is getting into it, and even like Brian Shaw has mentioned wanting to arm wrestle. Some of the biggest YouTube stars, fitness stars, are coming out there, and they're really promoting arm wrestling and helping us out right now, is awesome. And I'm definitely getting a big influx of new arm wrestlers trying to get into it because of them. So I think this is a perfect time for tournaments, big leagues, kind of like WAL, to really spread out their nets and try to catch all these new people that are interested in arm wrestling. So that's why I keep pushing for WL, and I message them and everything about they need to have big amateur tournaments right now, because there's a lot of people that want to get into the sport, and if they could just go to WL underground.com and see all the local tournaments, then they could just go down there and start entering, and we could really start capturing a lot of these even more of these new people that are trying to get into the sport. Right, because there's so many new guys coming in every day into arm wrestling that we got to make sure that they're caught, by experienced arm wrestlers and shown the ropes, and so they can have a fair shot and hopefully not hurt themselves above all else. Right, so I think really pushing on the amateur side of the sport is a big deal right now, and the biggest leagues need to focus up on that within the states. And then basically asked, is it our job, or is it do we need a big budget organization like WAL to spend money on marketing, or do we need to do it? I'm a big believer in arm wrestlers need to do it. You guys, no one cares about the sport as much as we do. No matter what you may think, no matter when it comes down to it, guys, unless you're an arm wrestler, you're in the sport, you're saturated in the sport heavy, you don't care about it. A lot of these millionaires and people that come into the sport, they're not arm wrestlers. They like the sport until it doesn't suit their bank account, and then they'll drop us like a sack of potatoes. So in the end, a lot of it comes down to us. We have to promote the sport because we love the sport, right? We're in it not because we're trying to be millionaires from the sport. We do it because we love it. So our hearts are at least in the right places. So I really am a giant advocate of the arm wrestlers themselves promoting the sport. You guys go take an arm wrestling table and go down to your nearest, concert and go in the parking lot, and people will walk over. You guys have to get out there and push it. That's what I do with my team. We promote as much as we can. Every team should have a Facebook and ways for people to find them and stuff. We have to put ourselves out there because nobody's going to do it for us. Right? We can't rely on that. If they do anything that, WL does, or these big leagues that have money, anything they do for us is a bonus. But besides that, guys, we have to keep pushing. You can't just sit in your garages and in your house and at the gym not talking to people and just hope that the sport just blows up. We gotta do stuff, And so, much respect to all the people that are out there pushing the sport. But for those of you guys that aren't, man, come on, help out. So yeah, that's my answer for that question. All right, moving forward. Posted by Tube Karcher. Ratio of hand to arm training. How much do you train one compared to the other? I've been doing a lot of hand recently because I feel like regardless of how strong I get at it, I still get overwhelmed by tons of side and back pressure. Okay, so you're talking about training. Are you talking about training grip compared to training arm wrestling, if that's what you're talking about, then grip doesn't. Or are you talking about, when you say hand, are you talking about like wrist, like everything from the tip of your finger down to your elbow? Yeah, okay. I think that's what you're talking about when I reread it. I think you're talking about like wrist training, hand and wrist training. That's daily, because those muscle groups, as far as I've been instructed and from my own experiences, take forever to grow. Everything from the tip of your finger down to your elbow takes years to grow because it's so much connective tissue, right? And even the muscle bellies themselves just grow differently. They're similar to your abs and to your calves, where they're a daily thing. You have to beat up and keep constant pressure on them, and then rehabbing and then rebuilding and then breaking down. And so you have to constantly work on your wrist. That's not something that just suddenly, you had a good 2 weeks of wrist work and now your wrist is strong as shit. That doesn't happen, right? So it takes consistent years of wrist work to start seeing big gains in your hand and wrist and in the strength in there. So working on your arm, but you should always work on everything. I mean, you should never really be not working on a certain part of your game. That's kind of weird, right? Why would you not work on your biceps and stuff like that? So, I mean, all of it. Wrist and hand work I do every day. And then I alternate all my other muscles, kind of like, I guess, in that sense, kind of like a bodybuilding thing. I'll be doing pushing muscles one day. Sorry, I'll do pushing muscles one day, pulling muscles the next day, and alternate. But yeah, definitely don't slack on either one of those. Your arm or your hand. You should be hitting both. Moving forward, posted by Hollowman11, WAL Ultimate Fighter type show. I think it would be cool if WAL or Mazurenko did an Ultimate Fighter type show with arm wrestlers. Put a bunch of the best young arm wrestlers from multiple weight classes up in a house together, split them into teams that train together with veteran coaches for each team, like Devin and Michael Todd. Make it tourney style, and with finalists pulling on an official WAL event as the finale. Coaches on both teams also pulling at the finale, bringing in veteran guests every episode to work with the teams and show them the nuances of their individual styles. Could focus on the training and different techniques, but also show fighters' backgrounds and create some interesting storylines. Maybe I'm just zoning out. That would be interesting. I mean, definitely as an arm wrestler, I would watch it, and I think they could build stories behind people, and we definitely have some interesting people in the sport, and there's definitely people coming up in the sport. The thing that sucks about arm wrestling, or in regards to this, is one, that it takes so long to make huge strides in arm wrestling, right? So in fighting shows and UFC and stuff like that, somebody can come up in the ranks over the course of like a couple months or a year and really like upset everything and just start winning the tournaments and winning national championships. At the level that the top arm wrestling is at right now, no new super heavyweight right now is going to come in there and start beating Michael Todd. No new like these people aren't just going to suddenly start losing, because it takes years to develop the strength in order to get strong in arm wrestling. So finding like hot up and comers is really rough in arm wrestling. But the public doesn't know that, right? So, but we know that, right? So it'd be household names to us that have to be in that house if they actually want a shot at doing something at the top of the WAL. But besides that, the only other thing I think about is like recovery, because you can only arm wrestle so much. You could train and work on like rolling and stuff like that for jiu-jitsu and all that stuff, like the UFC Ultimate Fighter show, and you could do that like on a daily basis. It doesn't destroy your joints the way arm wrestling does, but they couldn't daily have arm wrestling practices and arm wrestling matches, so they have to find a way to alternate, the matches and the practices so people could heal up and be in good enough shape to have a match or or something like that the next weekend. So yeah, they'd have to work out something like that. But besides that, our sport, it would be interesting to us. I don't know how many other people would watch it besides arm wrestlers right now, because we care about it, but general public, I don't know how much they'd be all over it, unless we had someone like Larry Wheels inside that house or Juji. It'd be hard to get other people to watch it, I think. But it'd be interesting. I would definitely be all about it. Hey, I'm willing to go in that house. Someone give me a call. I will go live in that house and get paid and train arm wrestling. I do it anyway. All right, moving forward. Posted by Marzik_am. I'm going to mess up this name. Abrahamyan and Stepanyan world champions on para arm wrestling. Congratulations, guys. I think he's just posting about his friends that won the world championships in the para in the disabled classes. And congratulations, guys. That's a huge feat. Probably worked super hard to get there. So congratulations by all means. Moving forward, posted by Snickhat. This feels really good for supinator strength, linen bag with 17 kg, simple. I don't get. I watched this video and I commented. I don't get how this is hitting your supinator because your hand is pronated. But he says it is. He says it feels really good on his supination muscles somehow. So good for you, man. If it feels good, then I guess keep going with it. I'm just not understanding really how this accesses your supinator, but awesome. Keep going forward, man. If it feels good and you think it's working, then it is. All right, so moving forward, posted by the Maestro 27. Clubs in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. Anyone here know of clubs around the province? I know of Rick Edmonds' group. I'm assuming he's running it in St. John's. Are there any clubs or West Coast on the West Coast or Central? I haven't looked on the Arm Fighter website for Canada. I don't know if he went that far. Did he list teams in Canada? Definitely check out the website to see if it's listed for there. If not, then yeah, I don't know Canada too well, man. I definitely know Canadian arm wrestlers, but I don't know exactly where they're all located in Canada. I'd have to look into that for you. You know what? I'm gonna look into that and I'll post on your thread here anything I find. Moving forward, posted by Rodental, New England 2019 right-handed video. Alex from Arm Wrestling TV posted this, one of his videos of the right-hand matches of the New England Championships. Really interesting matches. You got to see a lot of Schoolboy, Alex's brother, Alex. You got to see him arm wrestle against Jim, Slammin' Jim. That's what I call him. He goes to Worlds a lot. They were great matches. Then you got to see Brandon Elsesor and Brendan Mulvihill have their matchup in the finals, which a lot of people wanted to see. I believe Mike Aiello won the whole thing right-handed for the Supers. No shocker there. But Brendan Mulvihill ended up winning his class in the finals, which is pretty exciting. He's a top Canadian arm wrestler in that class, and he keeps calling out a RVJ, trying to get matches with RVJ. So it's interesting. Hopefully Brendan gets that match. I'd like to see him take a crack at RVJ just to see how it looks, how it goes. I'd have to bet on RVJ, but Brandon seems to offer a lot on the table. Super well versed, not a super pretty unassuming, right? If he went on the table, he's not someone walking down the street that I'd think would be a really strong arm wrestler, but he's very smart. You can tell he has a high table IQ and very fast, and that counts for a lot in the game. So I've never pulled with him, never gripped up with him. I have no idea how strong he is. Must be crazy strong to be doing the things he's doing. So kudos to you, man. Good job. It's nice watching you come up through the ranks. All right, moving forward. Posted by Criminal Scum, called Whelp. Well, it's a picture of John Brzenk, King's moving against Paul Passmore. So I don't know where John's going with this King's move picture, right? And why he's training the King's move a little bit. I think, he's getting into the sport, you guys, and one of the selling points of doing the King's move is that arm wrestlers, when they get older, can do that and still hang out at the top level of the sport with a King's move because their tendons and everything are so tight and their pronation's still at a high level that they can sit back and pronate and hold that, right? So that's one of the things of the King's move. It'll keep you in the sport longer, being able to King's move. So do I think John Brzenk's main move is going to be the King's move? No, not at all. But John knows how old he is, and he's getting back in the sport. He's getting in shape right now, lifting and stuff like that. But does John think he'll be able to pack on the amount of muscle he used to have and all that stuff? I doubt it. So having a plan C of a King's move, I'm sure is tempting, And so why not, at least because so many other people are doing it, why not, if you have the ability to King's move and you have the rotation and everything built in your arm, then to at least feel comfortable in it in a match, I don't see why John wouldn't do that. He's like everybody else is doing it right now anyway, and it's not against the rules, right? Just like back in the day, top rolling used to be against the rule, or people would call you a sissy if you tried top roll. Or then it was flop wrist pressing was for sissies and stuff like that. Now it's kings moving, so it's whatever. But it's a legit move, and as long as he's doing it within the rule system, I don't see why John Brzenk wouldn't try to add that in his arsenal. He's trying to come back a lot older now, guys, and you guys all want to see him arm wrestle. So, and if you want to see him win, he's a competitor. You guys, he's not coming back to lose. So, do what you got to do, John. By all means, that's how I see it. Moving forward, posted by Majin42. Arm wrestling community in Beijing, China. I'd like to know if someone's out here in arm wrestling community in Beijing. I'm currently in Beijing, and I'd like to subscribe to a club, or at least get in contact with some people from this community in Beijing. Thanks in advance. Yeah, man. Like same thing about that Canadian. I don't know if the arm fighter thing goes that far. Check it out if they do. I haven't looked internationally on that website. If not, then I know there's a lot of Facebook, Chinese arm wrestlers on Facebook. So message around on there, start digging around, and I'm sure you'll be able to find some. So I would go to like an arm wrestling training group, and then start looking through there for people that are posted on there or subscribe to those groups, and look for people that live in China, and then send them a message, man. That's how I would do it, but you do you. Moving forward, posted by NNQ2603, World Arm Wrestling Championship 2019 finals left. That's kind of what I was talking about already, where my buddy Cody Merritt won it left-handed. There's a lot of good matches, though. You guys definitely go back and watch some of those. They have a camera on each table, so watch some of the tables of the finals, the senior category, and it's awesome just watching these dudes pull. Moving forward, posted by the same guy, Jeff Hale versus Kings Mover in WAF World Championship. This is a left-handed match with Jeff Hale. I think Jeff ended up getting 5th or 6th, is what I was told. Left-handed and then right-handed. I don't think he did that well. But he has a long match here with someone that starts Kings Moving. But the guy is Kings Moving, that's Kings Moving him, Dimitri. He's really well known. People were telling me that he's been around for a long time, and he didn't immediately jump to the King's move. His bicep and everything were failing against Jeff, so he went there in like desperation. And they have a pretty good match. Then the fouls go on, and then Jeff ends up winning that match, I believe. So good for Jeff. It was great seeing him in WAF and watching him compete. Is always a bonus, and you always want to know like how some of our top Americans will do over there in Europe. So it's cool to see Jeff branch out and go down there and test himself. Moving forward, posted by Random Dust Bunny, new arm wrestlers guide: pain after practice / tournament, good or bad, with Paul Lynn. Love these new videos that Paul's doing. Paul's a very smart guy. Definitely has all my respect. Knows what he's talking about. So in a lot of these training videos, he's talking about ways to you train with a towel, or how to approach your first tournament or practice, and even though some of the things I have a different perspective on than Paul, doesn't mean that I'm necessarily right or he's 100% right. It's kind of opinions, right? So he said go to a practice before a tournament. I'm more of a fan of going to a tournament before a practice, right? I think that as far as motivation goes, to see what the selling point of arm wrestling is a big deal to me. So I went to a tournament before I ever went to a practice. Now, the risk you run is getting hurt. Of course you run that risk. So I definitely recommend being super careful, learning how to not break your arm first. But they'll give you a quick seminar on how to not break your arm. You can learn from other people in the crowd. But getting up there, before you ever go to a practice, before you start getting on into training, getting up on that stage and seeing what it's all about, seeing the guy across the table from you, potentially maybe like screaming in your face, and the referees are up there trying to get you squared up. There's people, your mom or sister or friends, whoever's in the crowd, and they're screaming and cheering for you, and then you win or you lose, it doesn't matter, and your adrenaline's pumping and stuff. And to really go through that, when you get off that stage, regardless, you're going to want to start arm wrestling. Your motivation is going to be super high. And I think that when you're going through all the pain that a new arm wrestler is going to go through, that having your highest level of motivation should be at the very beginning, right? Because it's going to have to carry you through sleepless nights where your arms are aching, right? Because those are going to come no matter what. So I think, yeah, getting a huge surge of motivation, go to a tournament, see what it's all about, make sure you don't get hurt. That's priority number one. Have a good time, see what arm wrestling has to offer, and then start going to practices and let's start getting you stronger, turning you into an arm wrestler. But yeah, I think you should go to tournaments before anything. Like, I recommend tournament experience above all else because it's harder to come by as well. Don't ever turn away from a tournament that you can go to. Always go to them, in my opinion. But that's where Paul's opinion, his approach to it makes a lot of sense. He says go to a practice, learn how to not break your arm, learn the basics of arm wrestling, learn how to hook and get started in arm wrestling before you do a tournament. And that makes complete sense. And as far as like from a safety approach, and you'll be a better arm wrestler by then. It's just I've seen people come to practices and quit before they ever go to a tournament, for sure, a lot. And I just wonder, man, if they would have seen how cool the tournaments are, would they have stayed around? That's what I wonder, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of going to a tournament first. That's just what I think. Moving forward, there's another video posted by NNQ2603, World Arm Wrestling Championship, live stream, Table 7. So more arm wrestling for the WAF. Moving forward, posted by him again, Georgi Tatiev, mini version of the Latin World Championship 2019. So it's a highlight reel of Georgi arm wrestling. I don't know about mini version of the Latin because they pull differently, but I get it. They're both tall, and they're tall Russians, so I guess there you go. But Georgi is definitely a lot lighter, and he's the one that beat Zoloev and stuff like that. It's really awesome watching. Georgi relies more on his brachialis, his biceps, and his rotation. He doesn't bank on his height. Vitali banks on his height and getting his arms straight up and utilizing that really well. Not to say he doesn't have the strength that Georgi has. He obviously does. But I'm saying that his style of arm wrestling, Georgi's elbow starts at the back of the pad. And generally, Vitali's will start in the middle or towards the front, and he'll dump his wrist so that way he can get his arm higher, the angle more straight up. So they're definitely both two tall arm wrestlers. I just think Vitali uses his height better than anybody else in the world. Nobody else, in my opinion, utilizes the length of their arm better than Vitali Letin, hands down. If you want to write a book on how to utilize long arms in arm wrestling, Vitali is the guy. Now Georgi's super strong, and he's an amazing arm wrestler. These are my opinions. And it's harder also because you got to remember Georgi's arm wrestling against shorter guys in his weight class, right? So he's used to having to pull his elbow to the back of the pad and dump his arm down so that way he can get an even match. And Vitali's arm wrestling against a much bigger guy, so generally he can move his elbow forward and force his arm a little taller than Georgi's able to. So, but their styles are just built around their weight classes, right? I think right now. Moving forward. Once again, posted by NNQ2603. Arthur Makarov versus Jeff Hale. Arthur Makarov, I don't know a ton about him. I know he's a Russian arm wrestler coming up, and he has really big hands. I think right and left-handed. Like the whole like Oleg Zok type of thing. Like a really, really big hand and arm. He had a super match recently with Ingen Terzi where he beat Ingen, I believe. Sorry if I'm incorrect on that. I believe he beat Ingen. He hooks, generally gets a hold of people with that giant hand, reels them in, and beats them really fast. I mean, generally Russian arm wrestlers are all amazing so far just by default, but he also was born with these really big hands and arms, and he puts them to work. So he's definitely the next up-and-comer that I'm watching a lot as far as going to be taking over like one of those top spots at that weight in the world. For sure. I mean, once he's just getting stronger and stronger, and he's learning how to utilize his tools better and better. So watching him pop up in all these major tournaments and cleaning house is super awesome and inspiring for sure. Moving forward, posted by Marzik_am. Arm Wrestling World Championship 2019. Armenia has 9 medals, and he has all the results. So I'm assuming he's Armenian because this is the same guy that posted about those other 2 guys that won the disabled classes. So congratulations, Armenia, having 9 medals. The Armenians, in my experiences, are crazy strong. The Los Angeles team in Van Nuys, they have a few Armenians, Vazgen Sagoyan and Vrej Shadrakian, some top Armenian world champions, and they are strong as hell. So nothing but respect for those guys. I have nothing negative to say. They've always been really nice to me and super respectful, and congratulations all the Armenian champions. They train hard, you guys, and then they work really hard for what they get. So congratulations, guys. Moving forward, posted by Minhale. Which arm wrestling specific strength does the towel pull-up train? So it's a picture of a guy doing a pull-up with a towel over a pull-up bar, and it looks like he's doing it at the playground at a small elementary school because there's little kiddie slides everywhere. Man, you should probably put your shirt on if you're going to be in an elementary school playground. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it works the same as pull-ups. First off, let me state, I am 6'8", 340 pounds almost. I don't do a ton of pull-ups. I don't bank on pull-ups, not nearly as much as some people. They're definitely in my training routine. I have a weight-assisted pull-up machine at my gym that I use. I could do unassisted pull-ups, but not enough to get a sick workout in, right? Not enough where it's just like, I don't know how many I can do, but not enough where I can do a full workout of just pull-ups. So I do a lot on the weight-assisted pull-up machine just to get warmed up and be able to work into the sets. But these pull-ups are neutral grip, the ones with the towel. They're neutral grip. And so I guess, there's a little more carryover. It looks like it would work your forearms a little bit more and your grip a little bit more, trying to squeeze that towel so you don't fall. Also, you could start not extremely spread out, so you can start with your hands right in front of you rather than having to start with your arms extended. So I guess that's a bonus. But besides that, I don't know any big advantages with doing towel pull-ups compared to regular pull-ups, especially with a neutral grip. I'd have to look into that. But all pull-ups are good, man. So keep doing what you're doing. Moving forward, this is the last one. Posted by Reach for Bleach. It says, got wrecked at arm wrestling, please help. I was out drinking and this guy wanted to arm wrestle me. I'm completely new to arm wrestling, by the way. He wasn't big, but he looked confident. We started and I couldn't even budge his arm. I felt so much pressure on my wrist. My biceps are supposed to be really strong, but I didn't feel any pressure there at all. Why couldn't I activate my biceps and use them against him? I felt everything in my wrist and couldn't do anything to push at all. Anyone know what gym exercises I can do to help this? I've been doing tons of curl variations, dumbbells, cable, preacher cable, hammer, etc. But after that match, I'm going to stop since they're useless. Oh man, there's so much to say about this. Okay, so I'm assuming you are not an arm wrestler. You lost a match in arm wrestling. You went on Reddit, typed in arm wrestling because you're trying to find some tips on how to get better and start beating people in arm wrestling. I would have had to see the match, man. I'd have to see the match and which angles and directions you were arm wrestling and what he was doing with his wrist and what you were trying to do with your wrist. There's a lot that goes into this match, right? So just saying that you were going sideways and your wrist was hurting doesn't paint a big enough picture for me to understand like what kind of advice to give you. In general, man, if you want the biggest tips to beating people in like tabletop arm wrestling, like with a dinner table or whatever, one is always cover the opponent's thumb knuckle. I mean, we're talking about really winning, right? And arm wrestling is all cheating, one way or another. So you want to generally try to grip as high as you can, as high over your thumb knuckle as he'll let you. Then when the match starts, start pulling backwards towards your face. Don't go sideways. When you pull backwards, what's going to happen is it's going to extend his arm, which will make him weak, and it'll bring your arm closer to you, which will make you stronger, right? Then after you extend his arm and you're gripped up high on his hand so he can't bring his wrist up, then you should be controlling the match. So after you control the match, then you pin him. I've broken down all arm wrestling matches, in my mind, break down into 3 steps. Step 1 is establish your hand. So if you want to hook him or you want to top roll him or whatever you want to do with your hand, establish your hand the way you want it. Then step 2 is get ready to pin, meaning bring him to you, tighten up, get your chin over your knuckles, right? Get your hand that close to you where your chin is directly over your hand. Then step 3 is pin. So establish your hand, get ready to pin. Those are the 3 steps of arm wrestling. Now, if you're just trying to grip it and rip it and slam sideways, I mean, that's some old school, dangerous style of arm wrestling. But that can hurt your wrist a lot because you're applying a lot of pressure on your own wrist. So I would have had to see the match, man, and see how you were using your muscles. Biceps are a player in arm wrestling, but they're definitely not the end-all, be-all. They're not everything, right? Your wrist plays a bigger part in arm wrestling than your biceps do. But then your lat plays a huge part too, and so does your chest and your shoulder. They all play big parts in arm wrestling. So Like I said, I'd have to see the video. I would say that he, sorry, sneezing. I would say that the guy was probably just a lot stronger than you. I mean, in hand and wrist strength, and maybe even in biceps or anything like that, because of the way you're explaining it. If that's the case, man, then just you have a lot of work to do. But I don't know how he gripped your hand. Yeah, there's so many questions, man. Before I can give you tips on how to beat that guy. So, you said, why couldn't I activate my biceps and use them against him? Well, maybe because he was bigger than you and he was holding your arm at an angle where you couldn't get in there and use your biceps because your wrist was so weak that you couldn't even access your biceps. You get that? Your hand and wrist were too weak for you to get into your big muscle groups. That's a possibility. If I would have seen the match, I could tell you. Anyone know what gym exercises I can do to help this? Dude, curls and stuff are great, and they still definitely have a place. But pull-ups are a big thing. A lot of wrist curls and stuff. Doing a lot of hand and wrist work. And then just keep doing your pull-ups and your curls and stuff like that, and heavy static holds and negatives. All those things will help if you're really trying to just get stronger at arm wrestling in a gym without actually learning how to arm wrestle. So, definitely stick with the pull-ups and everything. And be careful, man. You can really get hurt out there just arm wrestling random people. And so that's the last Reddit post, guys. But that actually reminds me on that topic, as far as arm wrestling people. Tell you a story. So this last weekend, I do security in a nightclub in a local city. I'm a bouncer. Shocking, right? So a guy walks in and he says, he walks in and I forget, he wanted to get in for free or something like that because I oversee the cover charge or whatever. And he was telling me, he's like, hey, you want to get sponsored by Bang energy drinks? And I was like, oh, you're sponsored by Bang? Like, what do you do? And he shows me his Instagram, and he's like, he just goes off-roading. Like, I don't even believe him that he was sponsored by Bang energy drinks, but whatever. And so he's telling me all this. I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I would love to get sponsored by Bang energy drink. I'm an arm wrestler. And he's like, oh yeah, me too. And I'm like, oh no, but I seriously arm wrestle. Oh yeah, I do too. He keeps saying that. And so he goes inside the club, takes 3 steps in, and one of my other security guards that works with me, who knows I arm wrestle, tells the guy, he goes, hey, you should go arm wrestle Derek up there up front. And he brings the guy back up there, and the guy is super cocky, like, so cocky. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody this cocky. And the guy I'm trying to tell him, and he brings his buddy with him, and they're trying to set up this match for money, for $20 or whatever. And I keep telling the guy, I'm like, listen, man, I don't really want to arm wrestle you, honestly, because I don't want you to hurt yourself. And he goes, oh, and he thinks I'm being cocky. He thinks I'm just talking down to him. But I'm being sincere. I really just didn't want him to hurt himself. Because I had nothing to prove for arm wrestling, not against some random drunk dude. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I don't want you to hurt yourself either. I'm like, no, I won't. I mean, I'm an arm wrestler. This is what I do. Oh, yeah, me too. I'm like, no, dude, seriously, I travel around arm wrestle. Yeah, me too. No, I'm trying to tell you, I'm a pro arm wrestler. Yeah, me too. Whatever, man. He wouldn't listen to me. And so I'm laughing, and then they keep setting up the match, and eventually there's a little bit of money being thrown around. And so I end up arm wrestling this guy, and he's so cocky. And of course, nothing happened. Okay, here's a tip for anybody that arm wrestles at a bar. If you arm wrestle somebody, guys, obviously their safety is important. Especially if you're an established arm wrestler and you know you're going to win, you're really strong, then you don't need to slam him or anything like that. Or slamming him really fast actually could be a fast way to do it so he won't hurt himself. Or if you're not going to do it that way, then do a lot of cupping. So turn their wrists. So basically, put them on a bicep curl. So the moment the match started, I wrist curled really hard and I started pulling backwards towards my chest. So that way he's bicep curling. So I didn't even give him a chance to start going sideways. I immediately hop on his bicep, which I know you could detach a bicep, but there's a lot better chance that his bicep will hold on before. But I'll take that gamble over him breaking his arm, right? So immediately I get a hold of him, and he puts his head down. He's gritting his teeth. He's trying his best. And I'm telling him, calm. I'm looking at him. I'm telling him, yo, just calm down. You're going to hurt yourself. And he's like, you're going to hurt yourself. And I'm laughing. And I end up beating him and stuff. And then he goes around, he arm wrestles all the bouncers at the club, and he loses to all of them. And he was crushed. And I kept telling him, I was like, guy, I'm an arm wrestler. Yeah, me too. People are crazy, man. Don't be that guy, you guys. Don't ever be that guy. You need to go learn how to arm wrestle. Like, be open to learning. It's not all strength and it's not all technique. At a beginning level of arm wrestling, I believe, and this is my opinion, other people have different opinions on this. I believe when you first start arm wrestling is all about technique. If you know one trick, one really cool trick, you can go to a tournament and wreck house at an amateur beginner level. As time goes on, everybody knows all the tricks. Then it's about who's stronger and who has the power to execute. Not all about strength, but mostly about strength, right? And so, but yeah, at the beginning, like, you learn a couple tricks, you know how to stay tight, or you have a fast press or something like that, you'll run through an amateur tournament, like, just based off technique alone. So that's how I see arm wrestling. Anyway, guys, all right, so that's the end of the Reddit podcast for November 4th, 2019. This coming weekend, we have the Long Beach tournament in Southern California. If you guys are listening to this, I recommend that you go. I will be there. Definitely got some guys on my team that are going to go. I'll be there Saturday and Sunday for the amateur and for the pro, cheering on my guys. Best of luck, you guys. Anybody that's going to there, stay safe. Don't break your fucking arm, please. And do your guys' best. And I want to see some of you guys go up against my buddy Gage and some of the guys on my team. I'm really excited to see how everybody does. So I will be there. I'm undecided on whether or not I'm arm wrestling or not. I mean, all I really care about is the Arnolds. But I don't know. I'm kind of have an itch to arm wrestle. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of also feel like training all week and not taking a week off for a tournament. So undecided still. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Talk to you guys later. Train hard. Be bold. See ya.